Okay, Coach, if you make an opening statement, then we'll take questions.
Obviously, a lot of credit to Northwest Missouri. We saw on tape that they've been constantly improving since their losses. They had a tough loss to Pitt State, and they just kept getting better. And we knew this was going to be a really tough test for us, a really difficult test. And there's some things that you look that we could have done better, but I got to give our kids a ton of credit. Like, we've been down in the fourth quarter now. I think that was our third game. We were down in the fourth quarter to Mines. We were down in the fourth quarter to Ferris, and it's just a group that never fractures. There's really nobody pointing fingers on the sideline. There's really never anybody that doesn't believe that we can get it done. So, we talk about defense. Our defense just kept going out there. They're able to get some red zone stops. And, when you take a look at those, 8 points really, two of those aren't on our defense. So they only give up basically 6. And just to go into a playoff game and give up 6 points, just kept getting us stops and creating the turnovers and just kept going and battling. And I thought Northwest did a really good job making contested plays, and they really made some plays in the pass game. We just kept bouncing back, getting those red zone stops. And then I'd tell you, offense, it just kind of who we are a little bit. We go 90 yards to score our first one, and then after the kickoff return, which wasn't great, we go down and we score again. We scored the first possession and the last possession in between. It just was probably a little bit frustrating at times because we were moving the ball and just kind of got bogged down a little bit in the red zone. So don't, the players, I thought, just kept playing against a really, really good defense, and you got to give Northwest credit because they got some stops in the red zone. But I think probably a couple plays, if we could have extended the thing, given ourselves a little more breathing room, that might have changed the structure of the game in terms of what Northwest would have had to do offensively. But, at the end of the day, I give a lot of credit to all of our guys on offense, but, I think that was a great call by Matt Bitson at a 3rd and 1, where you kind of basically showed him that we were running a quarterback run to the field, and Jade Walker goes in and bluffs on the safety a crack and then pops vertical, and that was a huge, huge play. And obviously we kind of got our running game going in our 4th against the #1 rush defense in the nation, and it was great for Tariq to kind of rip that one off because just to score the points and put us in a position we put our defense, where we had to not give up a field goal, they had to score a touchdown at the end was late. So. Yeah, it's that time of year. Really fortunate against a really quality MIAA opponent. Now we're 1 of 8. We'll see what happens in the regional final. I think we came out of the thing relatively healthy. Hopefully we get a couple guys back, but we're at that point now. We're in December. But I just can't tell you how proud I'm of coaches and our players. So just consistently just battled, and it was not easy. It was not pretty. We made some mistakes, but just found a way to win.
Tariq, what's it like being the one to take the ball in on a playoff game winner?
It's obviously a good feeling, but just glad because we had a few short stops that I didn't get in on, so just felt like avenging myself and the team.
What's it like to know that they have so much trust in you to put the ball in your hands in key situations?
That's huge for me because, like I said, there was a few possessions where we faced some adversity, but just knowing that Coach Wu and Coach V, the guys up front, they trusted me to make plays. That's big.
Coach, Nazir had a huge game for you guys.
Yep.
3 picks in one game is insane. How big was that for you?
Nazir's continued to improve. We saw some flashes of redshirt freshman last year, but I can't give Nazir, and I'll also say Therese Reed and a little bit Grant Hart, but our 3 corners, they have gotten better. They have really gotten better since the opener against Mines. Mines had a really quality receiving core. There's a couple plays there. I'd give the kids a lot of credit. They had a lot of humility. They had a growth mindset, and they've continued to improve throughout the course of the season. And, again, Nye's the guy that comes up big today. I think, we played Davenport. We think we probably dropped 3 or 4 picks in the Davenport game that we had an opportunity to make play on. And so it was obviously awesome to Nazir to make that. And that first one especially to kind of get – I think that first series was big for our defense to come out. We kicked off, kind of pinned them deep, and to get that turnover on that first series. Nye came up with that one, and just I think that really kind of gave our whole defense confidence. But Nazir's been playing boundary corner, and he's been absolutely locking it down. He's well deserving of being our first team all-conference corner. And again, he's talented, but I want to give him a lot of credit for the work and the growth that he has done from the off-season and the summer and throughout the course of the season. And I think it's a great template and a model for all the players in our program. When you put in the hard work and do things, the good things typically happen. And so really happy for him he's having success.
Talk about the run game, offensive line. You were going to run the ball throughout. They come in giving up 54 yards a game rushing. You rush for 200 yards. Tariq with 98. That was your mindset. We're going to really run the ball in the fourth quarter.
Well, yeah, that's one of those things we just kind of knew with Northwest that they were going to get there. It was going to be tough to displace them. It was going to be really difficult, that we just had to kind of keep leaning on them. One thing we talked about really like, in the week and also before the game, was just, it's a heavyweight deal, and it's kind of sounds corny, but you just got to keep it to body shots, and at some point maybe we get that knockout punch. And I think we made a decision too. We were trying to crack the safeties and put their corners in a position, but their corners played well. We made a decision to try to run on the safeties a little bit, and I think we hit a few runs, especially on those last couple drives. And one of them got called back for holding. But we were doing a little bit more. We were trying to run our outside zone play, and it was getting up on the safeties. And I thought Tariq did a really good job of making a few guys in the back end of their defense miss.
Nazir, can you talk about the picks that you had and which one was the biggest one for you?
The biggest one for me was definitely the last one, kind of just sealing the game. But about those picks, I just got to thank the guys up front. They make my job so much easier in the back end. I got to thank the coaches as well, putting me in those positions to make those plays.
The one that you picked off in the end zone, how'd that feel too? I mean, it looked like, that was a pretty sweet pick, is what I'm saying. How'd that feel?
Oh, that felt great. We had let up a big play before the receiver made a great play on one of our DBs, and we just know if they don't get in the end zone, they can't beat us. So at the end of the day, just was able to make a play, in position to make a play.
Okay, talk a little about, throwing the ball was difficult today at times, into the wind, with the wind. But you guys just kept battling, and you hit a number of receivers, and you just had to stay with that passing game.
Yeah. Overall, just, got to be better on the passing game than we were today. But when you got a defense that has your back and a run game that, executes consistently, it's not as impactful in a game like that. So, just really happy that those guys came out and performed when we needed them most. Going to get to work, improve, like that's a really good defense, and they're going to make it tight. And conditions, those are just excuses for us in the pass game. So we're going to get better at it.
Cade, what do you see on that last big pass, obviously, to set up the touchdown? Just take us through that play and what you saw on it.
Yeah, we repped it multiple times in practice, and just said we gotta pull it out when the time is right. And down and distance, time of the game, everything about it, how the game was going, just felt like Coach V made a great call, and Jade made a great play, caught the ball when it was needed most, and held on to it, came up with the ball, and we finished it off with Rico's run.
Coach, it was probably a little bit of a surprise to see their backup quarterback come out first. Just how do you feel like you guys adjusted to having to face the two different quarterbacks and a little bit different style when the different guys are in the game?
Yeah, we'd seen Braden Wright back in 2018, I think, as a redshirt freshman, and he'd played in that game, and so we'd seen him some on tape, and we knew Northwest had played him a little bit, some back and forth. So, I think are they a little bit different? Yeah, but ostensibly their offense doesn't change dramatically with whoever's under center. And I do give Mike Honesty a lot of credit. I think he came in that second quarter and did a really good job, and he made a lot of contested throws, and like I said, the receivers made a lot of contested plays, and that was one thing that I give Northwest a lot of credit for. There was some press stuff that they made a lot of plays.
Coach, this week they talked about the MIAA GLIAC. Both GLIAC schools won today. Talk about the conference play and how it prepares you for the playoffs.
Yeah, obviously our conference is tough. We don't have as many members as the MIAA, but I think the members that we have, it's really good football. You take a look at a Saginaw Valley State, a Davenport, just take a look at the depth of our conference. I do believe that our conference and also our non-conference scheduling, which has been really key with those two RMAC schools and both made the playoffs, I think puts us in a position to have a chance to win one of these games. If you go through a league that you don't have maybe some of those things in terms of that competition, you can go out against the Northwest and get punched in the mouth a little bit. I think our kids, had a lot of respect for them, but I think we were, it's kind of, I don't want to use a term, but I'm going to use it, battle tested, just because of our conference schedule and being in some tight ones and doing some things. So there's good football in the GLIAC. I know we don't have as many members as the MIAA, but there's really good competition, good football, and I think it's credit to our conference that our regional final is two schools, and it's also two schools that are an hour away and fierce rivals, so I'm sure next week will be interesting.
Thanks.